Gearbox Software gave us one of the most interesting and hilarious role-playing action first-person shooter games in 2009. Yes, dear game enthusiasts, we're talking about Borderlands. This adventurous world of Pandora holds a lot of secrets, and today we'll go down the gritty path and uncover the backstories of 12 major characters who make the game. From the Berserker, Siren, and the Hunter to the villains and sidekicks, we'll be covering them all. No matter what your relationship is with this game, a seasoned veteran or a newbie, I'm sure you'll end up finding something in this video. So if you're curious, keep watching, and let's dive into this interesting world. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Lilith. This girl gives off the main character energy through and through because she's the overall main character of the entire series. In Borderlands, she's a playable character, whereas in Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel, she is a major character. In Borderlands 3, Lilith is in the second place when it comes to the important characters list. Voiced by the amazing Colleen Clickenbeard, Lilith is a siren. She's from a planet far away, known as Dionysus, and she's a woman with a lot of powers. Did you know that she's one of the 6 women who show this type of magical prowess? In the pre-sequel, Lilith is a very important NPC. After defeating General Nox, Lilith and Roland went to Elpis, Pandora's moon, on a vacation. That's where they met Jack, who wants them to help him against Colonel Zarpedon. At first, she wanted nothing to do with it, but eventually, she decided that they should help Jack and the Vault Hunters recover the Helios station and a giant laser. However, Jack killing 3 scientists struck her as odd, and she no longer wanted to help him. Eventually, Lilith and Roland managed to defeat Zarpedon while keeping Jack away from the laser as much as they can. In fact, they even destroyed the laser with Mad Moxy's help. Lilith even went after Jack and made sure he did not get to have the ancient Iridian relic that he was after and destroyed the relic. This destruction of the relic released an energy blast that ended up searing the vault symbol on Jack's face, marking him for good. However, it was too late, as Jack had visions of touching the relic, which told him exactly what he needed to do to gain control over Pandora as a whole, as we see in Borderlands 2. So in Borderlands 2, Lilith's main focus was to defeat Jack. At one point, she was taken to the Vault of the Warrior. Here, she became the one meant to charge the vault key. Not that she wanted to, because if the key was charged, Jack would be able to release the warrior. Despite her wishes, she's tortured by Jack and unwillingly ends up completely charging the key. Even though by that time Jack was attacked by the Vault Hunters and was defeated, he managed to release the warrior using the key. This warrior was supposed to be his champion, as a lot of you know, but in the end, he too got defeated. With the warrior gone, Jack was executed by either Lilith or the Vault Hunters. After his gruesome death, Lilith wanted to destroy the vault for good so that no one could do this again. However, she accidentally activated a map that showed where all the different vaults were located all over the galaxy. When she returns to the sanctuary after everything's gone down, Lilith becomes the leader of the Crimson Raiders. Under her leadership, the Crimson Raiders continued their fight against Hyperion. In Borderlands 3, Lilith is seen recruiting new members for the Crimson Raiders. She specifically wanted a team that would be willing to investigate the children of the Vault cult. But as Tyreen had leached off her siren powers, she was unable to go on missions herself. She sent out her armies on small missions and investigations as the head of the group. Eventually, when Tyreen is defeated, Lilith gets all her powers back and risks her life for the safekeeping of Pandora and Elpis. We don't know if she's dead or alive after her risky adventure, but in the director's cut, we learn that Ava thinks Lilith is probably alive. So here's to hoping to see her return. When it comes to her skills, the main skill that Lilith has is the ability to phase walk. This ability allows her to turn invisible to her enemies, allowing her to move at a much faster rate and create a damaging shockwave known as the phase blast as she enters and exits. While she's visible to her teammates during her phase walking, she also tends to be visible to other sirens, regardless of their teams. This is because all the sirens are in the same dimension, so it's kind of like a common trick for all sirens. Usually, Lilith is a close-range striker. She uses a lot of elemental damage enhancements to ensure she can damage her opponents while moving quickly. This also helps her survive the heat of the battle when push comes to shove. Her ability Phase Walk definitely comes in handy with the increased speed and invisibility. When Lilith combines all her attacks with the Phase Walk, she's able to deliver damaging blows with ease. She's exceptionally good at elemental weapons, and when she hits her opponents, she ends up dazing them. In most cases, she uses her Phase Walk as a defense maneuver. Lilith can handle pretty much all types of weapons, thanks to her class mods. However, mostly she's perfect for weapons like snipers and Iridian cannon, which are high damage, critical hit, or slow projectiles, respectively. Looking at her skill trees, you'll see that she has 3 of them. Her assassin tree improves the effectiveness of her Phase Walk, as well as some damage buffs. Her controller tree, on the other hand, helps her daze her components whenever she attacks them, and it helps boost her shields. Lastly, she has the elemental skill tree, which adds on bonuses for weapons that deal out incendiary, corrosive, static, and explosive damage. All these skill trees also help her increase her resilience and elusiveness, which she definitely needs as her defenses, as she is a siren. Maya. Just like Lilith, Maya is another siren character who we see in Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3. Maya was identified as a siren when she was a baby, and she was given to the Order of the Impending Storm on her homeworld, Athenas. This order was a ruling order of monks who held quite the power in her homeworld. Under their tutelage, Maya honed her siren powers in secret.
People of Athenas, after years of training and preparation, the Order of the Impending Storm is ready to reveal your savior. Speak, Maya. Speak to your subjects.
Hi.
However, when she became an adult, she was introduced to the public as their savior and goddess by the monks. While that definitely upped her popularity, it also meant that Maya was now on the short leash of the Order, which she didn't like much.
If I traveled to Pandora, I could learn even more about my siren lineage.
That's enough!
She tried to ask the Order to let her travel to Pandora and learn more about her siren lineage, but that did not go well.
27 years. For 27 years, you've been using me to keep these people frightened, haven't you?
Eventually, she figured out that the monks were using her to rule over the people of Athenas, so Maya executed her handler using phase locking and traveled to Pandora. She already knew about the vault and the Iridium before she came to Pandora. Unbeknownst to her, Jack was keeping an eye on her through the Hyperion surveillance footage, so it was not difficult for her to board the train when the game started. Once she gets down from the train, she meets Krieg, a bandit. At first, Maya thinks Krieg will hurt her, so she starts shooting at him. When she realized that Krieg was trying to save her life from the rats that were approaching her, Maya teamed up with him and killed most of them. In Borderlands 2, she came back to Athenas to act as the planet's protector. At Athenas, she learned about Ava, who tried to steal her books from the monastery. On meeting Ava, Maya quickly realized that she was a potential siren and decided to take her in as an apprentice. This turned out to be a good call, as they made a good team and managed to stop Malouan from invading Athenas in search of the vault key. Later, Ava and Maya join the Crimson Raiders when they're fighting against the Calypsos. When Tyrene Calypso decides to take Ava hostage, Maya puts Troy Calypso in a chokehold to barter for Ava's life. However, this plan went awfully awry, as no one knew Troy could leech Siren's powers. So Maya was leeched dry, and she disintegrated immediately. The Vault Hunters avenged her death, and eventually her powers were passed on to Ava. Maya's main ability is Phase Lock. This allows her to suspend her enemies in a completely different dimension. This lock puts her opponents in stasis and can be upgraded to increase the damage dealt. As for her skill tree, Maya has Motion, Harmony, and Cataclysm. Motion allows her to do crowd control and helps her brainwash her enemies and use them to fight each other. Harmony helps her with healing herself as well as her teammates. And lastly, we have the Cataclysm tree, which is completely elemental in its effect. Roland. He's another playable character in the Borderlands. His homeworld is Promethea, and he used to be a former soldier of Crimson Lance. The Crimson Lance is a private, highly trained military branch of a corporation called Atlas. Because of his training, he can use all weapons with ease, but his preferred weapons are shotguns and combat rifles. Throughout the game, Roland can also deploy an automated sentry gun, known as Scorpion Turret, as his action skill. According to the Atlas Corporation records, Roland was honorably discharged from the military. However, according to the Crimson Lance doctrine, they do not have an honorable discharge. The only discharge you have is dishonorable, which roughly translates to being shot in the head. So obviously, there's a bit of discrepancy here, and Roland, whenever asked about this, changes the subject. In the pre-sequel, Roland tagged along with Lilith and Elpis, and eventually ended up getting entangled with helping Jack. While Lilith was about to up and leave Jack after realizing that something was a bit fishy about him, Roland, on the other hand, kept acting normal while coming up with a plan that would ensure they could defeat Zarpion while keeping the laser out of Jack's hand. Eventually, they destroyed the Helios station and the laser. When Atlas Corporation abandoned all members of Crimson Lance on Pandora, Roland created the Crimson Raiders with them, promising to give them a purpose, which Atlas never did. When the Crimson Raiders joined the strike on Control Core Angel, Roland led the Vault Hunters and assisted them in retrieving the Vault Key. He also lowered the Shield Guardian Angel's Iridium Injector, which led to the Vault Hunters destroying them for good. However, he dies at the hands of Handsome Jack when he goes to retrieve the Vault Key. While in Borderlands 3, we do not see him return after his demise, we see a town named after him and a memorial statue owing to all the affection he received from his fans. We can assume that he was buried there. The Scopio Turret action skill allows Roland to shoot at his enemies while using a shield for cover. Based on how the player chooses to upgrade the skill tree, the turret gets affected in 3 ways. It has huge, devastating capabilities when used correctly, but it is the longest skill that can cool down. His 3 skill trees are Infantry, Support, and Medic. The more you invest in the Infantry, the more damaging the turret becomes while reducing its cooldown time. The Support skill tree also lowers the Scorpio turret's cooldown, but it adds to its burst fire count. It also ejects resupply packs to replenish ammunition and grenades for all team members. In the case of the Medic tree, on investing in it, the regeneration or revive effects of the turret get stronger.
Now introducing the barbaric, the beautiful, the most buxom sponsor of the history of Pandora, Mad Moxy!
Mad Moxy is a non-playable character who is the hostess of the Coliseum matches in the Underdome. She's also the owner of various bars on Pandora. If you had to describe Moxy, she is sadistic, alluring, and dangerous. She's a skilled fighter, and she enjoys the violence and combat of fights. She's not very keen on modesty, especially when it comes to sex.
I'm not just a bartender, you know. I'm also the ship's chaplain and legal counsel.
She has had several husbands and even more lovers over the years. The way she speaks, it's clear that she has a refined taste and mannerisms, with her seductive voice and innuendos. However, despite her violent nature, when there are no fights, she is quite caring and compassionate. She's kind of like a mother figure in her own way, and she's very protective of her children and loved ones. She belonged to the Hodunk clan, but when her daughter Ellie was supposed to become the clan wife, Moxy decided to take her kids and leave. She had a relationship with Jimbo Hodunk, and together they had a boy, Scooter. Mr. Shank is her second, and we can see her mourn his death as her second husband. Her third husband was Marcus Kincaid, and at one point she was involved with Lucky Zafford. We don't know if Lucky and her ever got married though. Eventually, she created the Underdome so that she could remain occupied and look for new husbands. In Borderlands 2, side mission Hell Hath No Fury, it became clear that she had a relationship with Handsome Jack, but we don't see any proof that might suggest they were married. Salvador. The fourth most wanted guy out of the bounty hunters is the gun-loving Salvador. Lovingly called the Juggernaut, he is the Gunzerker class character we see in Borderlands 2. Aged 36, he is a local of Pandora, born and raised here. While he's not very tall, standing at 5'4", he's extremely strong because of heavy steroid use. It's very clear that he enjoys being violent, especially towards bandits and criminals. However, at one point, he was almost executed by the people of Ovasius, his hometown.
Attention bandits! Your town is now property of the Hyperion Corporation. Vacate the premises or we will open fire.
But this didn't end up happening, as a Hyperion strike team showed up to seize the town. Salvador destroyed the entire invading force.
My arm! Quit your whining. You still got the other one. Besides, you killed Judge Hector, shut up my town.
And while doing so, he learned about the new vault while interrogating the last surviving member of the strike team. After learning about the new vault, he decided to let the member go while he went after the vault. His action skill, gunzerking, allows him to use any 2 guns at the same time. His main skill trees are Gunlust, Rampage, and Brawn. As you can guess, the Rampage and Gunlust trees help with the dual wielding and devastating damage they can deal on the enemy. On the other hand, the Brawn skill focuses purely on the amount of damage that Salvador can take himself and dish out. His healing abilities are also helped by these augmentations.
That's what I want to say. What actually comes out of my mouth is...
I have the shiniest meat bicycle!
Krieg. The human mutant is a playable psycho character of the second Borderlands game. When he was a child, he was abused by his mother because she thought he was too weak. Before he was taken in by Hyperion, Krieg worked as a bounty hunter and tracked down mercenaries and fugitives. When Dr. Benedict got his hands on Krieg and other bandits, he started torturing them and conducted horrible experiments on them to turn them into psychos. While this was supposed to break him completely and make him feel powerful, the more he survived the inhuman experiments, the more Krieg felt like he was powerless. Eventually, his inner voice manifested, which was supposed to be his sane side, which held on to hope and the will to survive. When he learned that Dr. Benedict was going to kill off all the subjects who had survived so far and start the experiments afresh with kids, Krieg escaped from the facility and killed Benedict. By this time, his psycho personality, known as Psycho Krieg, took over completely, and Krieg had a hard time communicating. Over the years, Krieg started working in a similar way as Vault Hunters and helped Crimson Raiders with the loot. The inner voice ensured that Krieg only murdered the victims who deserved the punishment, instead of murdering just about anyone. However, despite all that, as his psycho personality was dominant most of the time, he was unable to form a connection with the Raiders, and they often thought of him as just a weapon instead of a friend. On his first meeting with Maya, where he helped save Maya from the rats, they end up forming a bit of a friendly relationship, which is very important for Krieg. Over the gameplay, we see that Krieg is smitten with her and wants to act more coherently and less hostile towards other people. While the success was not too much, there was some significant progress. Now, after the sanctuary was destroyed,
I can't stay. I have to go to Athenas. I left those people defenseless, and I have to know more about what
he heard that Maya was going back to Athenas, and he tracked her down, hoping she would stay. While Maya did not stay, she did promise him that she would return again, which calmed her down. His main action skill is the Buzz Axe Rampage, which delivers 500% melee damage, and once the kill is made, he would regain his entire health. His main 3 skill trees are Bloodlust, Mania, and Hellborn. Bloodlust improves his ranged combat skills, whereas Mania is more focused on the high-risk, high-reward strategy. If he takes more health damage, his cooldown rate would be faster, but risking to damage health was definitely a gamble.
Move and you die. I will now read the crimes of the condemned. You kidnapped my... You moved. Whatever.
Tiny Tina. She is an NPC in all the Borderlands games. While she's just a 13-year-old girl, do not underestimate her. She's an explosives expert, but how did she end up this way? Well, Tina and her parents were bought by Hyperion to become test subjects when Jack was testing out the slag mutation.
Commencing slag injection on subjects supplied by the Hyperion liaison known as... Flesh Stick.
Don't worry, honey. Everything's gonna be okay. Baby, don't look.
The entire family was experimented upon, and her parents ended up dying.
Remember that heavy red rock I told you to hide in your dress? Pull the pin at the top, then throw it at the wall. Mommy? Just run! Tina!
However, Tina managed to escape this fate because her mother insisted she hid a grenade in her dress. That grenade acted as her ticket to freedom, and once she was free, she wanted to avenge her family's death by hunting down the guy who sold them to Hyperion in the first place, Flesh Stick. When she was first introduced in the series, she was introduced as an old friend of Roland. There's also a picture of them together in her home. According to Roland, they have both saved each other's lives quite a few times. In Borderlands 2, we see that Tiny Tina has her own unique arsenal of weapons. Her weapons look absolutely cute because they have pink-hearted camouflage and bunny decals. The weapons in question are Teapot, Cobra, and Boom Puppy. In Borderlands 3, it's clear that Tina is around 20, and she's still going strong as part of the Crimson Raiders with Brick and Mordecai. They were hired by Wainwright Jacobs to go out on a rescue mission to save Sir Hammerlock. In this mission, codenamed Crunk Bunny, we see Tina make her pizza using nitroglycerin sauce, wires as onion, and a detonator as ham. She then uses the Vault Hunters to deliver the pizza, which helps them destroy the structure where Hammerlock was held. Later, we find that Tina is on the Devil's Razor back at Pandora, where she or Brick gives the mission Boom 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 Town. Overall, she's an absolutely quirky character, and I quite enjoyed her character arc.
What's that saying? Don't pick a fight with a man with nothing left to lose. See, I'm gonna show you just how much you have to lose. And I got the most powerful siren in the planet.
Handsome Jack. Handsome Jack is the main villain of Borderlands 2. He's the owner of Hyperion Corporation and is now acting as a dictator of Pandora. He puts Helios, this enormous geostationary station, right between Pandora and Elpis. While this acts as a base from which he could send supplies and troops to rule over Pandora, it also acts as an homage to his ego. The Helios also has a satellite, which Jack uses to keep an eye on the Vault Hunters at all times.
Dad died pretty early. Mom pawned me off on her mom. Spent most of my time coding or getting smacked around. Had a cat. Grandma drowned it because it didn't make my bed.
Hailing from Tantalus, Jack did not have a good life as a child. His father died when he was quite young, and his mother abandoned him with his grandmother, who was extremely abusive towards him. And when Jack grew up, he had his grandmother murdered because of the severity of the abuse. The abuse and the emotional trauma of killing his grandmother definitely left a huge mark on Jack's mental health.
Daddy, help!
Look, you filthy bandit. Just give us back our daughter, okay?
Eventually, Jack married and had a daughter named Angel. Angel, like Lilith, was a siren. When Angel eventually developed the power to control technology, Jack was very surprised. However, having this power meant that she would end up becoming a target of bandits and kidnappers. Jack tried to protect his daughter at all costs, but in the end, a kidnapper did manage to nab Angel. Jack pleaded for Angel's safety, and seeing him like that, Angel used her powers in a fit of rage and killed her mother and the kidnapper. This affected Jack a lot, and he started blaming Angel. So to keep himself and Angel safe, he was trapped in the Control Core Angel and used her powers to control Pandora's Echo Net. By harnessing her powers, Jack was able to open the Vault of the Warrior. In the Borderlands gameplay 2, from Jack's dialogue, it becomes evident that he felt like he had to restrain Angel as she caused her mother's disappearance. But when we look into the journals in Get to Know Jack, it becomes evident that it was not Angel's birth mother who wanted Angel to be restrained in the first place, as the Control Core Angel was pretty active then. So basically, while Angel's birth mother did not want Angel restrained and eventually died in the whole kidnapping incident, it was Jack's second wife who insisted that Angel be restrained for her powers. When an employee brings this up, Jack actually kills him, which makes it evident that this is what must have happened for real. In the Borderlands pre-sequel, we see how Jack rose to power. Initially, he wanted to use the Vault Hunters and release the Destroyer so that he could use it for himself. However, the Destroyer was defeated, and using its eye, he was able to power the superweapon named the Eye of Helios, which could destroy entire settlements in a jiffy. Jack wanted to use this to eliminate all the bandit camps and other undesirable people on Pandora. But before he could, the Eye was taken by Captain Zarpedon, which led to him asking Roland, Lilith, and Moxy for help. But now we know that Roland, Moxy, and Lilith end up betraying Jack and destroying the Eye. But despite that, as Jack had opened the vault on Elpis, he learned of the Warrior and where the vault was where it resided. He also learned about the iridium buried in Pandora. While Lilith breaks the artifact and scares Jack quite literally for the rest of his life, Jack kills Hyperion's president and becomes the new president. With the whole Hyperion Corporation and its resources at its beck and call, Jack focused on getting the Warrior out and using it to get revenge on Vault Hunters. When Angel was killed, Jack kinda went nuts. He attacked Roland, murdered him, and captured Lilith, using her as the new generator in place of Angel. Using her, he managed to get the vault open, freeing the Warrior. However, the Warrior was defeated, and his plan was ruined. Eventually, he's killed either by the Vault Hunters or Lilith. Jack is a villain, there is no doubt, but there's no secret that his life was riddled with tragedies. I mean, his relationship with Moxy was very important to him, even though Moxy didn't think that. After his death, when Moxy showed up to claim his casino for herself, we find out that he always kept Moxy's photo with him along with Angel. It begs us to wonder how Jack would have turned out if he had just tried to be a good guy instead of the villain.
Welcome to Firestone. I am CL4PTP. You may call me by my locally designated name, Claptrap.
Claptrap. Created by the Hyperion Corporation, Claptrap is a CL4P-TP general-purpose robot with an over-enthusiastic personality. While he loves bragging all the time, it's clear he suffers from quite a bit of loneliness and cowardice. The Vault Hunters meet Claptrap immediately after leaving the bus at the beginning of the first game. Then they're introduced to Dr. Zed thanks to Claptrap. Dr. Zed takes the Vault Hunters to Firestone Gate for a mission named Claptrap Rescue. Here, the robot is damaged by the bandits. The robot is fixed with the help of Guardian Angel, and then he basically hangs around everyone, working as an alert system and offering up available missions. In the pre-sequel, we see that Claptrap and Jack actually met when it was opening a door for him. Claptrap told Jack about the time it was an assassin, and hearing it, Jack was very impressed, so he reprogrammed and upgraded Claptrap. Now, instead of being just a robot who opens doors, Claptrap had a full set of combat motions as well as a stair-climbing wheel, making him into Fragtrap, which, as most of you know, is one of the character classes in this game. Fun fact, Claptrap actually shows up as a cameo in Ready Player One. At the very beginning of the film, we see Parzival, one of the characters in the movie, walk past a room with Claptrap in it.
Inconsistent. I quite enjoyed this. Perhaps we'll do it again.
Zero. This is a playable assassin character in the game Borderlands 2. He's effectively an assassin for hire. He's committed both political assassinations as well as common hits. Unlike most assassins, Zero actually liked it when his victims would fight back. In one of his assassination missions, his victim did not fight back even though Zero encouraged him to do so. This made Zero go out for a more challenging environment, and when he heard about the vault, Zero felt like this would be the mission that would suit him the most. Now, pretty much his entire body is covered by his suit, so no one truly knows about his true appearance. In fact, in an echo recording, Angel wonders if Zero is even human. He has only 4 fingers on his hands, and everything about him is more or less unknown. In the Pandoran Gazette, it was suggested that maybe Dr. Patricia Tannis knows of Zero's true origin, who he is, and where he's from. In the game, we see him chase after Lord Bossa Nova to look for the Gortys Core. This was a mission given to him by Moxy. Now, Bossa Nova ran away with Reese's money, and as a result of that, Zero had several encounters with psychos. Eventually, he tracked Bossa Nova and managed to make his way inside. He saves Reese and Sasha from a skag, and they end up in the center area where Bossa Nova is holding a death race event. Zero joined the combat against Bossa Nova and his bandits and won the whole thing. While he did kill off Bossa Nova, he did not know where the Gortys Core was, as he told Moxy. But we find out that Zero was actually standing over it the entire time, as if his core was hidden under him. Later, Reese and Fiona were the ones who managed to find it. His main action skill is Deception, which allows him to enter an invisible stealth mode by projecting a holographic decoy of him. When he's in his cloaked state, he deals more damage, and the longer he remains in this form, the more damage he inflicts. However, that also increases his recovery time, and he cannot use this skill again for a while if he's used it for a longer time. Unlike Lilith, he cannot move to a different dimension as she does during her phase walks, and despite being cloaked, if he's attacked, he takes damage. His main skill trees are Sniping, Cunning, and Bloodshed. The Sniping mostly focuses on sniper rifles and critical hits, as you can guess from the name. The Cunning tree increases his action skill Deception, whereas Bloodshed increases the melee damage on his enemies. Brick is a playable character in the first game and an important character in all the games that follow. He falls in the Berserker class, which means he can use pretty much all types of explosive weapons, punish his enemies with powerful attacks, and withstand dangerous attacks without much damage. In fact, if he goes into his rage mode known as Berserk, his strength increases manyfold, and he is able to regenerate his health significantly, albeit for a short time. He's one of the original 4 Vault Hunters, hailing from the planet Menoetius. He's also one of the people people who founded the Crimson Raiders. But we do not see him hang around with them because Roland expelled him after he killed Shep Sanders in a brutal fashion after the latter disclosed the location of New Haven to Hyperion, which Jack later destroyed. Brick was upset at the treatment he received, and he started his very own gang, known as the Slab Gang. He became a bandit and came to be known as the Slab King all over Pandora. His main action skill, as you guys have guessed, is the Berserker mode. When it's activated, the entire screen goes red, and Brick uses his fists to do the talking. During this mode, he's resistant to all damages, while his health regenerates quickly. Most of his class mods help increase the effectiveness of the Berserker, so if you want someone who will do amazing in close combat, Brick is your guy. He's as good with brawling as he is with shotguns and explosives. However, his default weapon is a pipe, which I quite like. I think it makes him look even scarier than he already is. Dr. Patricia Tannis. Lastly, we have Dr. Patricia Tannis, an NPC who moves the plot forward. In the first game, she plays an integral role, whereas in Borderlands 2, she gives out missions. When she returned to Borderlands 3, she assisted the Vault Hunters in stopping the Children of the Vault. Now, you might wonder who she is, right? So, Patricia is a scientist and archaeologist. Her specialty is Iridian artifacts and technology. At one point, she worked with the Dahl Corporation to bring out the vault hidden on Pandora. However, the harsh environment of the planet and the deaths of her colleagues led to Tannis having several breakdowns, and she eventually started personalizing all the immobile objects in her room out of loneliness. When Dahl lost interest in Pandora, they stopped the plan abruptly, but Tannis was already obsessed, and she chose to stay behind. She befriended the bandits, hoping they would help her with her research. But as bandits are really not popular for their loyalty, they eventually betrayed her, which made her even more secluded, and she kind of developed agoraphobia. But eventually, she started calling out to Vault Hunters for help, and eventually, she got over her agoraphobia when she sleepwalked outside of her dig site. This led to her going out on Pandora for the first time. After she heard of Typhon de Leon's stories as the first Vault Hunter, she decided to become one herself, and while she has a very bad grip on her sanity, she does her best. By Borderlands 3, she seems like she is much better at interacting with other people and far less sociophobic. She's one of the leading experts in Iridians and vaults, and she's often consulted during missions. Her whimsical way of giving out crucial information definitely makes her stand out, and having her on screen is always a delight. Marvelous verdict. There we have it, guys. These are all the characters from Borderlands who we felt made the game so much more enjoyable. Out of all the characters here, I definitely like Lilith the most because of her strong personality and resourcefulness, and I'm super excited to see Cate Blanchett's portrayal of her in the movie adaptation set to release on August 9th, 2024. Let us know in the comments who your favorite character is. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.